So today I'm going to walk you through a demo of the PracticeSuite Telemed platform, starting here in the scheduler. Very basic information, nothing has changed here, but I want to talk about the process from start to finish and give you a little bit of prerequisites and some hints and clues to make this flow faster for you. First things first is setting an appointment, scheduling those appointments for those telemed visits. That way you keep your office organized, stay on time, and the provider knows who, when, and where they're seeing their patients at. In order to do that, scheduling has not changed, but there are some things that we can talk about where you can edit and make changes to in order to make those appointments more visible and more readily available so the provider can tell that information. First and foremost, the prerequisite, as Anna mentioned, you will, when the provider initiates the call, the patient will receive an automated text message. In order to do that, in patient demographics under the cell phone number data point, that cell phone number needs to be listed there. This is the number that PracticeSuite uses in order to send that automated text message. So that is one thing that you would want to make sure that your front desk staff or scheduler is receiving when they're taking that phone call for the Telemed visit. Utilizing PracticeSuite Telemed can go down two different pathways. It can be used as a standalone service, or if you utilize PracticeSuite EHR, it is also built in with that as well. So I'm going to take you down both pathways today. First being, if you do not utilize PracticeSuite EHR, but one of our type partners or a third-party EHR and use our practice management as a standalone service, you can still implement and use our Telemed product. Once activated through econsults@practicesuite.com, and the sales team engaging with you, on the left-hand side, a new module will be activated on your menu bar called Telemed. And clicking on Telemed, it will bring you to the Telemedicine desk. Here is where that provider can see the organization of today's visit. One thing that we can do is we can either make a new customized status or exam room that says Telemed, so the provider can tell who they're seeing in the clinic versus who they're seeing maybe via Telemed today. You can also do ad hoc or on-demand telemedicine visits by going to the patient tab, simply searching for the patient here and opening up their telemedicine chart. Today, I'm going to open up our test Telemed patient, which is where I have Anna's number tied to, and we're going to initiate that from here. Walking through it, on the top right-hand corner, this is the PracticeSuite Telemed icon, PS Telemed. So when I click on this button, that is what initiates that text message, that automated text message to the patient, letting them know that the provider is ready for them to join the call and to do their visit for today. While I click on this and Anna begins to join, I just want to walk you through what the patient experience looks like as well, so you can get an idea of what your patients will be seeing. First things first, though, we're receiving a text message just like this on the left-hand side that simply says, "Dear patient, to begin your telemedicine with Practice, click on the link below." Couple of things, another prerequisite that you can have your scheduler or front desk do when they're scheduling these telemed is tell the patient to go into either the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, depending on if they're running over Apple or Android iOS, and download the PS Telemed app. Simply search for the PS Telemed app and download that app. If not, once they click on this link, it will prompt them to download, but it will save you time when you're trying to initiate that call and see that patient for that day. Once clicking on the visit or clicking on the link, there is no registration, no creating an account. It takes the patient directly to the call, and they will see your face as long as your camera is on and running. Very simple, very streamlined for the patient, and quick. Anna, let's go ahead and get our visit started for today. Awesome. Hi, Anna. All right, so I'm going to walk through some features of what the telemedicine visit entails and what you see and utilize here. Starting with the bottom left-hand side, this is the share your screen option. I like to equate this or give you some use cases for this inside the office. Think about the patient being in the exam room. Think about them seeing the educational, the posters or billboards, the information about medicine maybe that you want to talk to. Maybe you want to share their x-ray results with them or show them the x-ray and show them the image and show them exactly where the fracture or the break may be or what the issue is there. In order to do that, when you click here, you have several options. You can either share a screen, an application window, or by Chrome tab if you're utilizing Chrome as well. So you do have several options here to do that as well. All right. Moving right along is the snap functionality. Utilizing this are a couple use cases. Some providers or offices have elected to just take a picture of the patient to have it on file to show that they had this patient on the video call. Other options is if you're trying to look at it, if you need a picture of a scar, a wound, a mole, a bruise, items that you need to take pictures of or want to store in the medical record, you can also utilize the snap functionality here as well. you can take several snaps. And I can see here that Anna had looked away, so this is not the snap that I want to keep. So I can close that picture as well, and then hide the snap slider and bring it back if needed. Otherwise, these pictures will be stored in the patient's chart. Next functionality is the chat functionality. The patient has a chat bubble in their app. Couple of use cases for this, or reasons we will want to utilize this. Backup in case you don't have audio but still have the video. I also like to tell providers and drive home to them that the patients may be in uncomfortable situations. This is new to them. They, may have their attention directed elsewhere. A couple of things is that if you're giving them directions or patient instructions on what to do and how to treat a certain item, you can always verbally tell them, but I always say drive out the patient instructions in this chat functionality, because the patient can take a screenshot on their cell phone and save that for later use, and it decreases confusion and also increases patients' guidance and making sure that they're following those instructions that you provided to them as well. So I'm going to type out a short little message here so you can see our dialogue back and forth between Anna and I, as the chat functionality is stored into the patient's legal medical record. All right. Oh, little typo there, Anna, but you get the idea. All right. Moving right along, you have the ability to mute and turn off your camera. I like to tell providers that if you opt to do this, or you have an option or need to step away for a brief moment of privacy, if you're working from home, your kids come in the room, you're in the office, and you have to handle something urgently, instead of ending the call, you can simply mute or turn off your camera. And the purpose of that would be is because if you end the call and need to re-engage with the patient, it does send a new unique link, and the patient would have to rejoin that new meeting with you as well. So if you just need a brief moment of privacy, you have that ability. One more over, you have the clinical note box here. This is limited to 4,000 characters. It is in no means a substitution for a SOAP note, but what the purpose or point of this is it gives the provider the ability to take notes. Let's say they have 5 chief complaints and you have to document 5 HPIs, and you're not doing your SOAP note at the time of the visit. You're going to wait until later to do that, or you just want to make some middle notes or some notes about what's going on. This clinical note is not visible to the patient. However, it is stored on the telemedicine consultation sheet, which we'll preview in just a few moments. But the purpose in that is just so instead of you as the provider having to take documents or keep record of something on a sticky note or a notebook and then later have to go back and relate it to that patient, that way the notes stay with the patient, stay in the chart, and are there for you to reference at a later date. I'm just going to take a couple of examples here so you can see what that looks like inside the chart. All right. You can copy and paste. I've had a lot of questions about that. You do have the ability to copy and paste if you have standardized notes or anything you would like to keep and document in there as well. Next little guy here is just a toggle between a tile view and also just making the patient large. Just something to keep in mind that the snap functionality only operates if the patient is the biggest screen here. So in tile view, snap functionality does not work. This little informational button comes in very handy, has a lot of use cases here. So this is the actual link that is sent to the patient. I told you that the automated version is an SMS text message to the patient for them to click on and join from within their cell phone or smartphone. Patients who don't have a smartphone, once you initiate the visit, you can come in here as the provider, or your MA can copy this link, either email it or send it through the patient portal to the patient. But some other use cases is think about the elderly, those that are high at risk, the patients that are quarantined. Maybe they normally bring their son or daughter or another loved one with them to the visit. They can invite a third party to join. You can invite their daughter or son to come in and join. College kids who would like to have their parents there. Maybe inviting a specialist or the referring provider to the call. Maybe you and your scribe or your medical assistant are operating in 2 different places due to the quarantine, and you also want to invite them into the call. You can do that as well. So up to 3 people can be joined in the call, and this is how you can invite that third party, just simply by coming here and either copying that link and emailing it or sending it to them through via some kind of chat functionality as well. Anna, thank you for your time today. I'm going to go ahead and walk them through the telemedicine consultation sheet. As you'll see, when I close this, the operation is saving and the telemedicine consultation sheet gets created successfully. Keeping in mind, this consultation sheet is only created if the patient joins. If the patient does not join and you've waited the time that you stated you would await, there is no sheet that is created. Just going to briefly refresh the left-hand side here by flipping over the tabs, and talking about today's Telemed consultation sheet. So PracticeSuite documents the start, date and time, end date and time, and how long that duration of that call operates. Anna, we're at 6.8 minutes. I think it's the best yet. Telemedicine visit notes here under notes 1, that is the chat functionality. So the patient, what we talked, what we said back and forth, that dialogue, if we documented there. This is also where I would like to drive home to the providers. If you do type out your patient instructions, you do have the ability to see those at a later date as well. Notes 2 is that clinical notes tab in the bottom right-hand corner that I was talking to you about, where I typed out those provider notes. And this is where it is stored for that chart as well. In the top here, if you want to put this into your third-party EHR, for those of you not utilizing PracticeSuite, in the top, you can click on the PDF, export it, and import it into your other software. Same thing with the images or the snaps. You can always right-click, save the image, or copy it, and utilize it wherever you need to as well. For those of you utilizing a third party, we are completely done. We have conducted our telemedicine visit today and did all of it in 10 minutes or less. For those of you who utilize PracticeSuite EHR, we're going to move to your second story or your second phase of the visit. And you'll notice that as we walk through this information today, that every visit, the Telemed desk and also the Telemed chart have all been abbreviated versions of the clinical desktop. So bringing that home for you, taking it to the next step, you have the ability to actually incorporate that telemedicine consultation sheet into your encounter sheet. Even if you use canned sheets or not, when you select that after going through a process with our EHR team, when you go to begin charting, you have the option to copy that data over. So I'm simply going to copy the data from today's visit, click copy. My encounter sheet is going to be created as normal, but on the left-hand side, it's now going to include my telemedicine information, that visit date information, those visit notes between the chat and the clinical notes that I took as well. And like I said, those clinical notes were just memory joggers for me, so I could keep note of what I needed to document in my sub note. I can always uncheck that so they don't appear and duplication is not in my note as well. But I do want to keep the chatting in there just in case for insurance purposes if I'm ever audited. And this is the end of the line for that as well. So talking about implementation or onboarding, very simple. For those of you on PracticeSuite EHR, you already have access to it in the top right-hand corner of the patient's chart. Anyone else can activate by sending an email to econsults@practicesuite.com, and Trey and his team will reach out to you as well. For those of you for training, we do offer online live training. Here are the times that we offer, and we'll offer 3 more again next week. You can always come here, click, and register for those. We also have the product user guides down here that are downloadable, PDFs that give you screenshots, hints, step-by-step information, everything that we just walked through in this demo.